All right, gang, I do have a hump day editorial for you. It involves a Black Lives Matter mural and law enforcement. And I want to know if you agree with what happened to this law enforcement officer. Let me know in the comment section below. The link to this story will be in the description box as well below. A lot of people always say there's no link. There's a little arrow on YouTube, and if you click that little arrow, it opens up the description box. The link is in there. Thank you, Tallahassee.com, for this story. A Tallahassee Police Department sergeant has been suspended and demoted following a social media post where he derided the city-backed Black Lives Matter mural in the Gaines Street district. Sergeant Gavin Larimore, a 17-year veteran on the police force, was initially placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation after a Facebook post on July 9th calling protesters a mob of thugs and criminals. The post also chides the local protesters as a gang of anti-anyone-not-black racists who encourage murdering police officers nationwide. In a statement, Tallahassee Police Department Chief Lawrence Revel said Internal Affairs concluded its investigation of a questionable social media post made by a member of the Tallahassee Police Department. He said, quote, "The findings substantiated violations of Tallahassee Police Department social media policies and rules of conduct. Based on this conclusion, the officer has been placed on an 80-hour unpaid suspension and is being demoted," he said. Additionally, he will be required to undergo counseling. A city spokesman said Larimore was demoted from sergeant to officer. Larimore submitted a rebuttal letter to the chief expressing his disappointment with the disciplinary action, and his private conversation did not violate any policies. Larimore wrote, quote, "My statement was made off-duty as a civilian and was fully protected by my First Amendment rights. I merely discussed how officers and civilians were attacked and law enforcement officer families were threatened by numerous members of a violent political group. While there are certainly some law-abiding members of Black Lives Matter, there are nonetheless numerous individuals associated with that organization nationwide who are intent on being destructive and violent." With 17 years at Tallahassee Police Department, Larimore has worked as a patrol supervisor on the SWAT team and a federal fugitives task force. On May 30th, Larimore was among the first to arrive on scene when a truck sped through a crowd of Black Lives Matter protesters in downtown Tallahassee. The incident report written by Larimore pointed to the hostile nature of protesters and said the driver attempted to avoid the protesters. State's Attorney Jack Campbell said prosecutors did not rely on any one incident report and mainly focused on videos from the scene to determine the drivers shouldn't be charged. So there you go. I don't even know about that thing about the driver driving through protesters. That's something you guys may want to look up. But right here, he was given 2 weeks unpaid suspension and demoted from sergeant to patrol officer because he made some comments on, what was it, Facebook, on social media. And he said, I was off duty. I was a civilian at that time. Are cops civilians when they're off duty? How come you always hear the off-duty cop does this, off-duty cop does that? But all of a sudden, this guy who's off duty says, I was a civilian. So you weren't an off-duty cop. You were a civilian off duty. I don't know. Is that semantics? Am I mixing semantics here? But what I really want to get is, when they're off duty, do they have First Amendment rights at that point? And it really matters what his MOU says. If his MOU says he's off duty, it's separate, then it's separate. And, but if his MOU says even off duty, you're considered on duty as a police officer, yada, yada. So you really have to look at his MOU and see what they say about off duty. Now, when they're talking about social media policies, that could be at work, that could be during the day on his, his CAD or his laptop or his phone or whatever. That could be the social media policy during work hours. But does the social media policy cover off duty when they're out there living their lives and posting shit? I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Community Leo Watch, watching Leos in Tallahassee. How's that song go? Community Leo Watch, watching Leos. That's law enforcement officers from coast to coast on this hump day. Thank you for watching.